This is Kate. I think we're about ready to get started if everybody else is kind of ready here. Ben, do you want to hit record so anybody who's not joined us can watch later?
Yep, go ahead.
All right, cool. So I'm going to give you guys a quick overview of what this project is and kind of what our goals are with it. And then I'm going to pass it over to Ben. That's not Casey. That's actually my husband. And he'll kind of walk you through the demo itself and kind of how it works and that sort of thing. So as many of you know, Colleqtiv came about because we're very frustrated with social media as it is. There has been a greater and greater kind of concentration of social media on just a couple of platforms and a couple of companies that kind of own it all. And over the last, it's really been about 5 or 6 years now, but especially the last 4 or 5 months, they've been really cracking down and saying that people who are natural minded really just don't have access to the platform anymore. Many of us have been kicked off of Pinterest. If we haven't, we're anticipating it, any day now. I was kicked off of Pinterest a couple of months ago, and nobody can pin from my site anymore either. So that's obviously going to impact my traffic. Many of you have seen the same thing. Google's doing the same thing with limiting our access to search engines by changing their algorithms and making it difficult for people to find us. And we could sit here and try to play their game again and again. We could try to figure out what algorithm changes they've made this time and how we can, get around what they're doing like we have in the past, and hope that it works and hope that people are finding our content when they want to. But I think that, especially with the way things have gotten to be, that ship has sailed, and it's really just time to move on. So rather than play their game or shut it all down, because I know that many of us are full-time bloggers and influencers, and this is not just a matter of sharing information, but also a matter of our family's incomes, we are going to step outside of it and do something for ourselves. And that's what Colleqtiv is. It's a new social site that will be launching this spring. And it is for natural-minded people who want a place to honestly share what they know and to connect with others who also have or want that information. It's a place where people can learn about, how to parent naturally, how to use herbs, pretty much, any of the topics that are across all of our blogs. We haven't decided exactly what the scope of it's going to be yet, because we've had a lot of questions about, would we cover gardening or sewing or things that are kind of related to natural but not directly on. And that's a little bit of what we want to hear from you guys today, is kind of what your topics are and how you think we could best serve this community. But this will be a safe place where we will not be censored, because we own it. They can't censor us. They have no rights. And we will also be able to avoid trolls in a lot of ways. Like, they could still join the platform. Like, there's no way to entirely prevent that. But we have a lot of things in place that will prevent them from causing the kinds of harm that they do on Facebook and other platforms today. So I'm going to hand it over to Ben now, and he's going to walk you through what Colleqtiv looks like today, kind of how it's going to function, how it's all going to work. And after that's over, then we want to hear from you guys, what you like, what you don't like, what you'd like to see, and any questions that you may have about the platform or what we're going to do with it.
Thanks, Kate. And then, so for everybody who's on the call, we want this to be as interactive as possible. So if you have questions or you want clarification on things, feel free to use the chat, which I've got up on the screen here, or feel free to just unmute yourself and jump in at any point. We're happy to answer any questions that you have as you have them. And I think maybe to kind of follow up a little bit on what Kate just said with a few more contextual pieces of information, our goal here is basically to take the best parts of every major social media platform, but take none of the worst parts. So what I mean by that is, if you look at the way these sites are built, like you look at the way that Facebook is built, for example, Facebook makes all of their money on ad revenue. And so they're going to make decisions to drive up page views in order to maximize that ad revenue. So if, for example, trolls come on your page and they attack whatever you're talking about, your fans will automatically get incised and attack them back. and it'll end up becoming this back and forth flame war that causes tons and tons of people to be refreshing the page and see more ads. Facebook is never going to shut that stuff down. They are never going to give you the tools to manage it because they want those things to happen. They want people to get upset. They want them to get on there and just drive the page views up. And YouTube is the same way. Now, YouTube is a little different because their monetization model gives some money back to the content creator, and they do share your videos sometimes with other people, but it's effectively the same thing. If you go to literally any YouTube video and just look at the comments, it's all terrible. And Twitter is the same thing. And you know, with Pinterest and Instagram, the big problems with those platforms is the fact that they're limiting natural health content. Like our entire Pinterest account got deleted about a month ago. So we had spent 6 years building that account up and had tens of thousands of followers and stuff, and we just wake up one morning and it's gone. So the reason why I give you that background is to say that our design is to build this right from the beginning, and we're building it from the mindset of an influencer because that's who we are. Our primary goal here is to not make money on this as a platform. Our primary goal is to break even, but just give people like us and like yourselves a tool that they can actually use to communicate with their fans and reach their fans. And unlike Facebook, if you build up a fan base of 50,000 people, we're not going to charge you to talk to your own fans. We're not going to try to hide your fans from you. We want to increase the interaction because our goal is education, not driving revenue. And so everything that we do, everything that we build is going to be driven around allowing you to control that conversation, allowing you to keep bad actors out of your community, giving you the ability to escalate things and them actually get resolved and not just be the way that that Facebook works, where you report something and they just don't do anything with it. They don't care. They have no incentive to try to shut that conversation down. So I'm going to go through a little demo here. So basically, what this is a prototyping tool. So this is a non-functional prototype, but basically what it does is a series of images that are linked together. So when I push a button, it goes to the next image. But it'll give you a good idea of the kind of things that we're thinking of. But at this point, we haven't really built anything, so it's very easy for us to change. So if you have feedback or don't like the way things are, again, feel free to jump in at any point, either on the audio line or on the group chat, and we're more than happy to kind of walk you through that. So like any app, the first page is just going to be a username and password. So if you don't have an account, you can sign up, and if you do, you can just log in. So your main page here will be broken down into a couple different pieces. So the first thing that you're going to land on here is your home page, and what this is going to be is there will be 3 separate subsections here. So the home page, what this represents is these are communities that I, as a user, have decided I want to be a part of. So I'm part of the natural eating community, I'm part of the breastfeeding community, I'm part of the vaccine community, etc., right? So the very first thing that I see in here is going to be my feed. And this is another important distinction that I want to make clear compared to things like Facebook. So our goal here is not to limit what any individual sees. So I would assume most of you are probably aware that your Facebook feed is roughly 1 to 3% of the actual content that your friends are generating. Or if you as an influencer, if you have 50,000 people that like your page, a tiny fraction of those people are actually going to see that content in their Facebook feed. And the reason is because Facebook limits and curates that feed down based on your interaction. So our tool will not work like that. Any user will be able to see 100% of the content from any channel they're in, from any influencer that they want to follow, anything like that. But in order to make the user experience better, the way it'll handle it is it will put the highest rated content first, and it'll gradually lower in terms of the highest rated, second highest rated, third highest rated, etc. But if you keep scrolling down, it will eventually allow you to see every single thing that's posted. So basically what that means is, let's say I'm going to go into natural eating because I want to learn more about this today. So there are, this is like an example of an individual post. Somebody said, I like fruit, not a particularly interesting topic, but something nonetheless. And right off the bat, here's a couple things I want you to notice. So this person here, Kate McCurdy, this is the person who posted it. And this 367 here by their name, this is the user's reputation in the community. So what that means is if they post this and then this block of text here is whatever their post was about, if I find this useful, if I find that they've made a good comment or shared something interesting, I can vote this up or down. And as I vote it up or down, their reputation is going to change. So what that means is that people are incentivized to share good content. And the better the content that you share, the more people are going to see it. So like when I'm on my homepage, when I'm on my homepage here, the way that this is going to be sorted is going to be based on, sorry, I just need to mute a few people here. So the way this will be sorted is based on the reputation. So the post, like, for example, this will be the post for this day. And it'll show you the highest rated post. These are the things that people found the most interesting that day. And when I go into an individual post, it's going to show me all the content, the comments rather, ranked by best comment to worst comment. So I can keep scrolling down, infinitely down, but as I scroll down, the comments are getting less and less useful and helpful. So if you only want to come in and you only want to spend a minute reading some of the comments, the minute that you spend is going to be the highest quality stuff. So if you think about the way that like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or any of those other tools work, when you log in, it's typically doing one of two things. It's either going to show you the one that received the most comments, or it's going to show you like newest or oldest. And both of those models don't totally work, because just because something got a lot of comments doesn't actually mean that it was useful. It could be the thing that was most incendiary that people wanted to fight about the most. Yes, absolutely. There will be a most recent. So it isn't in the prototype, but it is in the live, the actual version that we're building. So where this little gray bar is right here, I know it's kind of hard to see on the white background, but there will be a thing that you can sort here by newest to oldest, or by most helpful to least helpful, or things like that. But anyway, the key part of this is that as you scroll down here, every person has a reputation. So you can see the reputation of this person. And so it's very easy to say, oh, this person is a brand new user. They've never commented before. Who knows if this person knows what they're talking about or not? Or, for example, here's an influencer. So like for the people on this call, this is the kind of stuff that would show up for you. So your name will be a different color compared to some of the other ones, which designates that you have a higher level of reputation in that community. And obviously we'll be vetting the people who would get that marking. And then there'll also be a series of icons next to it and these could be anything, right? These could be, you know, a breastfeeding symbol to say that they're experts in breastfeeding, or in this case, it's like a little leaf. So it's meant to be like herbal medicine or herbs, like those kind of things. But you'll be able to very quickly see if this is something that's valuable to you or not as you're kind of scrolling down the page. Another thing that's pretty different compared to most other tools will be an infinite reply nesting. So like when you're in Facebook, typically you only have two levels. So you have the high level comment or post that somebody has made, and and you'll be able to reply to that, and then you can also reply one level down. But like in this example, you can see here's the high level post. This is a first level reply. This is a second level. This is a third level. This is a fourth level. And then there's several more under here. So it'll always be very clear who you're replying to. So in Facebook, it's very hard to tell sometimes when you've got 50 people in a thread and they're all kind of replying to each other and tagging each other's names. It's hard to follow that conversation. So this will be structured to allow you to more easily follow that nesting process. But it will also by default collapse some of the nests like that. So if you don't want to keep reading down that chain, you don't have to, but if you click this 3 more replies button, it'll expand that out and allow you to easily see everything that's underneath that. But as you're kind of going down, you're able to vote that like this comment is helpful, or this comment is not helpful, or perhaps this person is a troll, and so you can downvote that and say, you know, this is a bad actor that's operating here. And then this 3 dots here, when you click on that, that will give you even more levels of things that you can do. So you'll be able to save this comment or post for later. So like, let's say you're this person. Let's say you're Kate McCurdy, and you ask some open-ended question like, my child has X condition and I'm curious what other mothers have done about this. And a bunch of people leave comments. You can click on those dots and then save it later, and there will be a section in your profile where it'll show you all the things that you've saved, kind of like the way that Pinterest works, where you can kind of save content. You can tag it to different tags like breastfeeding or food or whatever. You'll also be able to report posts here, and there will be several levels of moderation. So every community, like Natural Eating, will have moderators in this specific community. And so some of you may want to moderate some of these channels, or you may want to create your own channels. So like your specific blog name or brand name, you might want to just have a channel that's just for you. And so obviously you would control the first level of moderation there. But then there's also a second level of moderation, which would be the administrators. So that would be like Kate or I, or people that are directly employed by us, to say, you know, hey, if things aren't getting resolved, I want to be able to escalate this higher, that you'll be able to do that. And then, of course, there will be the ability to share, you know, on other social media platforms and things like that. But this is kind of the single post here in a nutshell. What questions or feedback do you guys have on this part of the app? Okay, so Jamie, how will the platform handle people who use social media to market products to others in the comments? So that's kind of the, so there's 2 levels to that, right? So there's the upvoting and downvoting. So if people are just kind of getting into channels and they're spamming things that are really not helpful, like just to give you a quick example, I recently saw on Facebook, somebody was talking about how one of their relatives died and they were depressed, and somebody felt like that was an appropriate comment to try to sell essential oils on. Now, to me, I feel like that's really kind of the wrong thing that you should be doing at that moment. You know, if somebody's in that state, they've just lost a relative, what they really need is support and kindness, and they need you to help them, not necessarily be trying to sell to them. So that would be a good example of something where that's really not a helpful comment to make, versus that exact same person could also say, like, you know, hey, my kid has a runny nose and I'm looking for solutions to that problem. I want to know what remedies people have. If somebody wants to post about that, an essential oil or any other product, that could be a very helpful thing. Now, if you as an influencer, if you're creating your own channels and you want to block that as part of your moderation rules, you are absolutely within your rights to do that. So you can say, I do not want MLMs in my channel. Anybody who posts an MLM is going to get blocked. And here's one of the big differences that we're going to do versus every other social media platform out there. We are going to give you complete control over seeing and reviewing and moderating any of the comments that are in your channel. So, for example, if you have a Facebook group or a Facebook page, once you've invited somebody to that group, everything that they post is, I know there's a bunch of questions in here. I'm going to get to all those as I'm explaining this here. If you have a Facebook group and you add somebody to that group, automatically by default, that person can post anything that they want to. So if you have some kind of screening process and you accidentally allow a troll in, they can just immediately start spamming people. They can PM other users. They can do all kinds of harm in your community. Our community will not do that. Anybody who joins a community, like an individual, like natural eating group, or just joining Colleqtiv in general, all comments will be hidden by default. The only way that they get their comments approved is if somebody reviews them, and that somebody being either the channel owner or an administrator. And then as their comments are approved, assuming that they meet whatever criteria it is for that channel, they'll start to get upvoted or downvoted. If they're instantly downvoted as unhelpful, negative comments, they will never get out of that fully unapproved by default model. So nothing that they post will ever get seen unless somebody else approves it first, if every comment that they're making is not helpful. And at a certain point, it may cause them to just get kicked from the community to begin with. For other users, if you're a normal person who's leaving good feedback or making good comments or things like that, then they at some point they start acting as a bad actor, it will work kind of the way that Facebook's temporary bans works. So if the community keeps saying this person is giving tons of terrible advice, or they're spamming all these comment threads or things like that, but unlike the way that Facebook works, our goal is not to do it as a punishment. Our goal is to do it as an education. We want, like when you click these dots to report comments, it will tell you or give you a list of options to say, why did you report this comment? And when a user gets banned, they're going to understand the reason why you got this temporary ban is because you kept spamming this MLM post and you've been told not to do that, etc. In the troll specific part of it, our goal will be to never allow a troll comment to be seen by anyone ever. Now, that's probably not an achievable goal, but it is what we're going to attempt to do. And there will be a bunch of ways that we do that. So people will be unmoderated by default, so no one will ever see it unless it gets approved by someone that we trust. We will have the ability to see where people are clicking into Colleqtiv from. So like, for example, if one of your posts on Colleqtiv gets shared on Facebook and it gets shared around a trolling group, we can see the traffic coming in from that page to Colleqtiv and automatically flag all those accounts as trolls. Because there is never going to be a scenario where somebody is on one of these trolling groups, they click a Colleqtiv post, and they're reading through that group because they're a good person. No, they're reading through that trolling group because they're a troll. Also, like the way that Facebook works today, and I'm sure you've probably been on the other end of this, I know that we have, Facebook allows you to create accounts very easily. You can create as many spam accounts as you want. You can use different email addresses, or you can create pages underneath your account. And so if your page gets banned, you just create a new one and you just keep spamming it over and over and over again. And so as Kate just mentioned in the chat, we will also be tracking people's IP addresses. So if an IP address gets banned for whatever reason, any account that gets created from that same IP address will automatically be put into a quarantine mode. So again, it's not that we're going to automatically disallow that IP address to ever do anything again, but it will put them in this mode where nobody sees anything they say without it being approved first. And they won't be able to private message other users or do different things like that while they're inside of that locked mode. So if someone happens to get banned who's actually a legitimate person, we can, there will be a way for that person to get back out of that quote unquote jail to use the tool normally again. But the goal is to punish people who are spreading different information, who are using it as an MLM tool, who are spamming comments or otherwise trying to disrupt it. And the reputation score will allow you to vote things that's helpful or unhelpful. And the reputation can be community specific. So you know, like you may have a really good reputation in one community and no reputation in another community. So there will be a lot of granularity for you to control who you want to be allowed to post. Like, for example, if you're an influencer, you could say, I don't want anybody to be able to create a post in my channel who doesn't have a reputation over 100 or 500 or whatever. And you can set those thresholds to kind of do whatever you want to help control that community. So kind of going back here, so I think we've basically covered the reputation tools and the MLMs. Yeah, I think we've basically covered that. So there will be a lot more of that stuff. And there's a whole back end to this for moderators that I'll get to in a few minutes. But I wanted to kind of give you some of the high level stuff here. So that was, you know, inside an individual post. What this home right here represents is these are channels that I'm subscribed to. So like I want to see content from natural eating, I want to see content from breastfeeding, etc. So these are the top comments, or the top posts rather, for the last 24 hours in the communities that I'm a part of. But, you know, part of what this is about building and expanding your knowledge and education, discovering other communities. So there will be a trending area where this will show you that you can look at individual influencers. Like I want to see other things that this person has posted that are in other channels, or I want to search for other topics. And this will show you what Colleqtiv as a whole is showing as the best content for the last day or week or month or whatever, and there will be abilities to sort that kind of stuff as well. And then the third big area here on the main page is this Learn tab. And so what this is this will be an invite-only area where influencers can post content that's kind of like stickied, and this is more like well-researched blog posts or videos or things that are a little bit deeper and more informational. So whereas this might be like a quick post about something or just sharing a link or something like that, this is going to be like how-tos and things like that, where, you know, we want people to be able to get education from this, and there will be abilities to sort by topic and things like that. And of course there will be a search tool where you can search within individual communities or just specific areas for keywords and that kind of stuff. Can the downvotes be deleted? No. So the upvotes and downvotes will cancel each other out in a sense. So like if you receive 10 upvotes and 5 downvotes, what you end up with is 5 positive votes, because it'd be 10 minus 5. Now, a user can undo their downvote. So meaning if you downvoted something by accident, you could click it a second time to take that back off. But were you meaning deleted in terms of you as the moderator of the channel wanted to be able to delete downvotes, or you as a user, how would you get rid of downvotes on yourself? Well, they could, but in order to do that, they have to have accounts that are not automatically in that temporary area that everybody is when they first join. So what I mean is, if let's say theoretically, I'm a pharma company and I want to hire 500 people from India to downvote your content. I want to try to destroy your reputation. Every one of those accounts, when they're first created, will not have the ability to upvote or downvote. You don't gain that ability until you've proven that you're a good actor by leaving valuable comments. Okay? So you can't PM people when you first create an account. You can't post anywhere. Or I'm sorry, you can't post unmoderated. So anything that you post anywhere has to be moderated before anybody sees it. And you can't upvote and downvote content until you're out of that jail. So there's no way that a bad actor could create an account and immediately start doing those things. After a period of time that account has existed, if they're a good actor, they're leaving helpful comments, and they're genuinely abiding by the rules of the community, eventually they will kind of gain the full ability to operate as a user. And if they started doing that, if they started downloading things immediately and the account got reported, we would just ban that account and undo everything that account had just done. So there really is no scenario where somebody could do that, where a bad actor could come in on a large scale and do things. Only individuals, and only for short periods of time before they get punished by the community. In terms of how long are they in the jail, that is a TBD thing. There's a lot of discussion that we're having internally about how that's going to work and exactly when those thresholds are going to get hit. And I think ultimately it will probably be something that we will not share publicly, because I don't want any trolling groups to ever find out what those thresholds are, so that they would know exactly how to game that system. They cannot create their own groups because no one will be able to create a group without an administrator being involved. So we will authorize certain people to create groups or to run groups or things like that, but everything is going to get channeled through Kate or myself or somebody that's directly on our team, so that there's no way that people can create trolling groups or things like that that would allow them to circumvent all those procedures. Yes, so what Kate just said, there will be no hate groups of any kind, even if they are people who believe in the things that we believe in. Like if you want to create a group where your primary goal is to dox pro-vaxxers, you are not going to be creating a group. This is a positive community, not a negative one. And it doesn't mean that you can't have negative comments and things in there, but if you're genuinely just trying to ruin everybody else's time or trying to be a troll, it doesn't matter whether you believe in what we believe or not, you're not welcome here. So how do we protect reputation? That is a great question, Brandy. So part of the reason is why you guys are all on this call right now. So we will be launching the tool probably in March. And when I say launch, what I really mean is a soft launch. We will not open it up for general registration. We will not open it up to general users. We will open it up to probably somewhere around 200 to 500 people that we know and trust. So these would be people who are influencers, community leaders, bloggers, people who have been active in our communities, or people that are kind of on your short list of, like, you say, well, I'm an influencer and I'd like you to add these 5 or 10 people that are part of my team or whatever. And so everyone who will get the initial invite will all be people that we know and trust, and we will just automatically allow everybody at the beginning to do whatever they want. And so once we've kind of built up that core group of users and that core group of reputation and kind of a baseline of content, we have set a culture. And then once people try to join that, if they're trying to go against the culture that's been established, the community will automatically punish that behavior and they will get eventually pushed back out of the community. And obviously, the bigger the community is and the more positive that culture is, the harder it will be for bad actors to get in there. Because if there are 50,000 people that are all acting in one way and 5 people try to get in and act the way that they shouldn't, it's super easy to push out everything that they're doing. How fast of a turnaround time? So that's going to be based on the moderators of those channels. So the goal is that we will start with some number of channels, probably 10, 20, 30, some smallish number. And if there are particular influencers who are very passionate about those particular topics, like, Kate, for example, is very passionate about vaccine safety. That's probably one that we would want to moderate directly. But there are other ones that, are certainly things that we believe in and things that we do with our own kids or ourselves. But we're less passionate about those. And if you want to be a moderator of one of those channels, it'll be basically how fast that moderator approves comments. And again, to clarify, it's only the people that are in that initial stage of their account that has their comments moderated. Once you've built a good reputation as a good actor in this community, everything that you say will just get published as it normally would, like on Facebook or any other tool. You're only going to be in that moderated zone for a short period of time until you kind of prove that you're a good actor. So for the vast majority of the community, everything will be instant. It'll only be the brand new people that are kind of in that mode. And everybody who joins will get pages that unfortunately aren't going to show on the tool just yet, but when they first join, they will get pages that kind of explain that process to them so that they understand, hey, the things that I'm posting right at the beginning, people aren't going to see immediately, but over time they will be able to see those things. And so they'll kind of get notified whenever that switch happens. So any other general questions about the way that the individual posts work, or the Learn tab, Home or Trending tab, or the search, kind of the couple things that we had already talked about there? Okay, so I'll move on to the next group, which is the communities. So this will be the primary way that people find new communities to be a part of. So whenever you first log into the Communities tab, it will automatically go to your home page. And what this will show me is these are the communities that I have recently visited. So I've looked at content from these communities, but I'm not currently a member. And it will tell me kind of quickly here what's the name of the community, how many people are in it, what the goal of the community is in a sentence or two, and how much new content is being posted. So like 4 posts have been posted today. And it also shows me here, these are the groups that I'm subscribed to. So these are the ones that I'm already kind of seeing content to. And it'll kind of give you that quick breakdown. But you'll also be able to come in here and see every community that's on the site. So these will be somewhat curated in the sense that our goal isn't to stifle conversation or not allow certain groups to be created, but we want to make sure that there is clear differentiation between different groups. So like, we don't want there to be 10 different groups that are all on the same topic, but if there are distinct differences and you want to create a different niche group, then we would allow those things to be created. So for example, like you might have a group about vaccines, and then you might have one about vaccine damage that's specifically for people who have kids or they themselves have been damaged by vaccines. Or you may have one where it's just for people who are on the fence about it, and they're looking for more information or things like that. So we're only going to curate the groups in the sense that we want to have a kind of a gut check to make sure that there isn't a group that already a gut check that there isn't already a group that kind of meets that need. But if there isn't, absolutely, and it meets our community standards, it will be it will of course be approved. So the comment approval thing, again, you have to understand that if there are 50,000 people that are using the site, but only, let's say, 500 of them are newish users or users that are under a temporary ban or something like that, it's a very small fraction of the community is ever going to be in that scenario where all of their comments have to be moderated. So the whole goal of that is to make sure that bad actors can't join the community and immediately start spamming and spreading hate and trolling all over the place. So those accounts will be limited when they're brand new, but as the accounts get older and as the account proves that they're a good actor in the system, then they will be allowed to do anything that they want. And the community upvoting, downvoting reputation system will give us an indicator if somebody has switched to a bad actor. So if somebody has 1,000 positive reputation and then all of a sudden in one day 10 different comments of theirs get 500 downvotes, it probably means that it's a bad actor who had kind of tried to sit under the radar for a while and have just now started being negative. And as soon as they start being negative, their account will get flagged for review. We'll review it and we'll put them in a temporary, temporary moderation or something like that. But I don't anticipate a scenario where ever more than 5 or 10% at most of the community would be in that that particular system. And again, the hope is that over time, it will become a smaller and smaller percentage as bad actors realize that they're not ever going to be able to get anything accomplished here, that they will just stop bothering us. Because unlike Facebook, with Facebook, if you ban somebody, they're just going to create a fake account, come right back in, and just keep spamming you over and over and over and over again. And there's really no ability for you to ever stop them, other than just sinking huge amounts of time into reviewing every single comment that hits your pages, whereas this is the opposite. The things that you're reviewing are only ever going to be, that stuff that's being flagged either by the system, by moderators, or by users. Tricia, no problem if you need to get your kids. This will be recorded and we'll be sharing the link in a couple hours once the call is over, and I can get it uploaded. So you can more than welcome to review that later and ask any other questions you have at that time. And yes, Jamie, you will be able to appeal bans and moderator decisions. We want to allow influencers and moderators to kind of control their communities the way that they want to, but everything has to fit in our overarching community guidelines. And Kate and I and our direct team will kind of be people that you can escalate those kind of things to. So that's kind of the communities in general here, where you'll be able to see every community that's in here, and there will be some ability via header at the top here to kind of sort and filter by like biggest communities or most active or newest, or do a search for specific keywords to try to find communities that meet certain criteria that you're looking for. And then if you want to create new communities, you're able to submit communities that you want to vote on. And then if enough members of Colleqtiv say, yep, this is something that I want to see, then these will be things that we approve. So there will be kind of a checking system to make sure that people can't just create any kind of groups that they want. It's going to have to adhere to the community guidelines. So there was one major thing that I forgot to mention earlier. So as an influencer, and I really hope this isn't true, but my guess is probably most of you have been on the other side of this. But people have tried to dox you in real life, or they have tried to make things more difficult for you because you're putting yourself out there as a public figure. And we're certainly not alone as influencers in that. A lot of everyday people who post on like the MAM Troop on Facebook, if they post a question of like, hey, my kid got hurt and I don't think I need to take them to a doctor, but I just kind of want a gut check of what other parents think, have gotten reported to CPS by trolls and things like that. So one of your questions might be, so if we don't allow trolls to post and we don't allow trolls to PM other people, can't they still screenshot things and make life difficult for people that are posting? So there's one other major feature, which I forgot to mention earlier, which is that any user that posts has the ability to make their comments anonymous or not. And I want to be very clear about what exactly this means. So what I mean is that if, let's say that, Kate or I, we're well-known people in this community, and we want to ask a personal question, like, I think I might be pregnant, but I don't want to tell my parents about it. Or I'm having issues with infertility or something where it's just something that you may not want people to publicly know that you're struggling with. You will be able to post things using an anonymous account, either one that you can rename and create your own anonymous account, or you can just use a completely generic name. But there will be two big caveats to that. The first one is that your reputation will still carry over to it. So if you're acting under an anonymous name, people can still tell whether you're a reputable person in the community or not. Although it would obviously not do things like this where it would highlight it as green or put flags or different things like that. So the reputation will still be there, and the moderation system, both in terms of the manual moderation and the systematic controls in moderation, there is no distinction between whether a comment is anonymous or not. So if you try to create an anonymous account and act as a bad actor, it will get both your anonymous account and your main account both flagged because the system will consider them one and the same. And as an administrator, Kate and I will be able to go in and see exactly who is leaving every comment. And the goal of that is not to invade people's privacy, but it is to hold people accountable. So I don't want people to think that, oh, I can just create an anonymous account and then just go out there and say a whole bunch of stuff that I would never say in real life just because I feel like I'm acting under an anonymous name. But it will still carry over the reputation. It can still be voted up or down, and that will all tie back to your main account's reputation. But it does allow people who are talking about controversial things or talking about private things that they may not want to make public. It gives them a way that they can talk about things and it not get traced back to them, so that they're able to actually ask things in a safe way and get the help that they're looking for without the fear of somebody going after them in real life or screenshotting it and trying to get them in trouble or different things like that. And so that will be there for everybody, whether you're an influencer, a moderator, or just a regular user. Everybody will have the ability to post things anonymously or not. And basically, whenever you hit reply or something like that, there will just be a little drop down that says, I want to use my main account, I want to use an anonymous account, or things like that. And you as influencers, you'll be able to reply as the community, to say, oh, I'm the natural eating community, and you can reply as that. You can reply as your own name, or you could reply as anonymous, whichever you prefer, for each individual comment that you're reading. Okay. Any questions about that or the communities or any other things that we had touched on? So there is not a document right now, but there will be. There will be links on the site in terms of, there will be things that are very clear, we're against the use of pharmaceuticals, things like that will be recommended. Yes, so Rachel, we will give people the ability to at a comment or post level decide what they want to do, and their account they'll be able to say by default I want everything to be anonymous, or by default I want everything to be under my username, and you can switch it at any point that you want. But yes, that's the whole point of it. The whole point of it is to allow people to leave comments and to ask questions and post things without fear of reprisal rather. And that's the whole point of having the anonymous, but the accountability will still be there. It will not be like Facebook where people can just, create fake accounts and do whatever they want and know that nothing is ever going to come back to them. Sure. All right, so the last thing, this is from the user side. Sorry, I guess there's two more things. So this will be your notification section. So very similar to the way that like Facebook notifications will work. It will show you, somebody commented on your post, somebody replied to your comment. If one of your posts needed approved, that it got approved, different things like that. You'll be able to send messages to and from other users. So you'll be able to read those, and when you're done with them, you'll be able to delete them, or if you want to report the person or block the person, there will be ability to do those sorts of things in there as well. And then there will also be a separate section in here that'll be notes from administrators. So this is where stuff about like whether your comment or whether your account is in jail or whether you've been banned or different things like that will go, and some of these will be system generated. So if certain things have happened, then your account might get automatically suspended temporarily, or if not, these will be things that are coming directly from moderators. But it's separate from the other two so that it's very clear, if something is in here. And if you go to your notifications and you have things from the administrator, this will be the default tab. So you'll see those first, and if not, it'll be your normal notification messages will be in there. Be segmented. No, they won't. And again, there will be ability to kind of sort your notifications to the specific things that you're looking for. And one of the things that we're probably going to do, which I hate that Facebook does, if you go to your Facebook notifications and it shows you like 50 different notifications, but you only click one or two of them, it marks them as red. But then it takes your notification off, and you can't ever really kind of go back and see all the ones that you didn't already review. So we'll probably put a checkbox or something in here that says, show me everything that I haven't looked at yet, or everything that I haven't specifically clicked. So you can make sure to actually be able to go through and see and address any particular thing that you want a little bit more holistically, rather than doing a little more piecemeal like the way that Facebook does. All right. Any final comments or questions on the user side before we move? Yes, we'll probably put something like that in here as well to clear them or mark them as red or something like that. Again, we've been using Facebook for a decade as an influencer, and I find their notification system to be very frustrating to use. And so there will probably be a lot of things that we kind of put in here that allows you to better manage that stuff. And also keep in mind, this is the user side, and the admin and moderator side will have additional pages and additional functionality that will allow you to kind of control some of that a little bit more effectively. So I'll show you that in just a minute once we kind of move on from this. So any other questions or comments about the user side? Okay. So I'm going to switch over now to, actually, I'm sorry. One more thing I forgot. So you also have your profile tab in here. And so the profile tab is going to show you the content that you have saved, either posts or comments or different things like that. Think of this kind of like the way that Pinterest boards work, where you'll be able to save content and tag it under certain things like, things I want to do with the kids, or breastfeeding or food or whatever, and you'll be able to kind of create lists of saved content for you to review later. It'll show you your posts that are pending or comments that are pending, and then also your settings. And one of the other big things that I kind of want to put in here too is, so Facebook's whole model is built around you sharing everything about your life, and it's not really topic and education driven so much as it is individual to individual driven. And Colleqtiv is a totally different model. It's built around the topic and education, and the individual to individual stuff comes through the topic rather than outside of it. So what I mean by that is, if you go to your Facebook feed and you've got 500 friends, you're seeing stuff from your racist uncle who shared some stupid thing that you don't care about, and then your sister went out to eat last night and you're seeing the picture of the meal that she ate, and you're just seeing all this stuff that really doesn't matter to you. It's not important to you, because it's curating your feed for you. This is all built around topics. And so as an individual, we are going to hide everything that you do by default. No one will be able to see anything that you post, anything that you comment. They won't be able to see anything, any information about you, with the exception of 3 things: your username, your reputation, and the date that your account was created. So like if your account is 2 years old, they would be able to see that. That's it. If as an influencer, you want to share more than that, you can. Like you want to say, every post that I make, I want people to be able to click on my name and see these are all the posts that I've made. And again, if you post things anonymously, they wouldn't be able to see those, but they would be able to see things that you posted under your name. So everything will be hidden by default and only shown if you allow it. So unlike the way that any other social media platform works, whether it's Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or Pinterest, it shows every user everything that you do on that platform. You will be able to see all that stuff. The admins and the moderation system, the systematic system, will be able to see all that stuff, but other users will not unless you allowed it. So I just thought that was an important point to make in there. Yeah, so I think Kate already kind of answered that question. So, so now I'm going to show you a little bit more about the admin side. So the first thing I want you to notice is that down here there's now a 4th icon. So like before there was only the 3. So if you are an influencer or a moderator or a system administrator or something like that, you're going to have an additional lock symbol down here, which allows you to do some additional things. So you'll be able to go through. These are all the comments that I'm allowed to moderate. So this is either because I'm a moderator of these 4 groups, or I'm a system admin and I can moderate anything. And there will be filters at the top that will allow you to say, I just want to moderate comments in just this one group, or moderate comments by an individual person, or different things like that. You'll be able to look at reports, so things that people have reported. So like you'll see here, Caitlin McCurdy says that this was a spam comment, and Jimmy Thomas says this one was inappropriate. Somebody says this one was violence. So there will be different tags that you'll be able to use to say, like, this is why I flagged it, and you'll be able to put sentences in there to kind of explain it in a little bit more detail why exactly it got reported. So when you're reviewing things, it'll usually be pretty clear what's going on. Yep, thanks, Brandy. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll be putting this up on YouTube and sharing the link with everybody in a couple hours once the call's over and I have a chance to get the file up there. So feel free to review that later, and if you have additional comments or questions, you can ask it then. So you'll be able to see all your reports and requests, and then you'll also be able to see like your individual groups and users. So like this is, as an admin, I can go in and I can see what this person is doing, reset their password, and do all those sorts of things. But if you as an influencer you want to be able to approve or kick people out of your various groups. So by default, I think we'll want most groups to be open access. So we're kind of moderating people at the community level and not allowing them into Colleqtiv unless they're a good actor or not. But if you want to have more limited groups for different reasons, like let's say that you currently have some subscription model, or you have people that are premium users to your blog, and you want a private community that you only talk about certain things, you'll be able to kind of approve or deny membership into individual groups. So there will be some ability to do that at a group by group level. But by default, I think every group will allow anybody to join it, unless it's explicitly limiting it. But you'll have the ability to kind of do that stuff in here as well. Sorry. And then you'll also be able to add, other moderators to your group. So you'll be able to filter it by what group you want to moderate. And all this stuff will also be available like when you're in here. So if you're in the natural eating group, there will be like additional icons or something up here in the corner that you'll be able to do that moderation while you're here directly. Or as you're scrolling through here, if there's a comment that's not approved, it'll be like grayed out or something like that, and you'll be able to kind of approve or deny it right here and not have to go, not have to go to like this page. But we wanted to give you a page that would show you this is every comment that's in your communities that hasn't been approved. So there's an easy, fast way to find this stuff. But if you just want to go through the pages organically and kind of do it as you're reading through the content, you'd be able to do it that way also. And I think the other thing is, like, whenever you're in here and you have the dot, so similar to like the way that Facebook works, you can automatically ban people or do different things like that and not have to go through that approval process. If you're a moderator or an administrator in a given group, you'll be able to do that directly from here. So there will be additional functionality that a normal user wouldn't see. Okay, so what I mean by that is, what we don't want is there to be 15 different vaccine groups that are all basically the same and are all basically talking about the same thing. So if that's something that you're really passionate about and you want to be part of the moderation team, I think most groups, especially ones like vaccines, there's going to be a lot of comments. There's probably going to need to be a lot of moderators in that group, 10 or 12 or 15 or something like that, because there could potentially be tens of thousands of people that want to talk about that specific topic. Or you can kind of create specific subgroups to vaccines that talk about specific issues. So like healing from gut damage, or how to detox from vaccines, or people who are currently struggling, like they just vaccinated their kid and they realize something is wrong and they don't really even know what to do yet. So people who are just new to that concern, or vaccine safety, or whatever, right? There could be a lot of different groups that have specific niches around that topic. What we don't want is there to just be a lot of confusion where there's a whole bunch of groups that are all very similar and people don't really know which one is the right one to go to. So it's our intent there is not to not let people create groups, but just to try to minimize the confusion for a user. Because if I'm new to this stuff and I join Colleqtiv and I see that there's 15 vaccine groups, how do I know which one is the right one for me if they're all just called vaccines, right? But if they have kind of more explicit names, or like when you're in the community and you're able to write sentences that show up every time that those groups show up, that kind of explains this is what the purpose of this group is, then it's a little bit more clear which one is the one that they're going to want to be in. Does that make sense, Jamie? Cool. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we also, if you want, you'll be able to create kind of your own communities that are not topic specific, but they're more community specific. So if you have an existing Facebook group or you have an existing blog and there are people that are kind of your followers and you want a place where it's just like you're going to post every blog post you write or you want people to be able to join your email.
Good, and I'll bring you cheese in just a minute.
Sorry, did you want to ask a question? So there will be an ability for you to kind of create your own communities and your own groups. And you will have the ability to message every person in the group at any time you want. So if you want to post things and it's something important and you want to post a private message, you'll be able to do these kind of things, either messages or notes from admins or moderators to be able to reach everybody in your community. Like if you're making some kind of change or something like that. And whenever people go to their homepage, any group that they're subscribed to, they will see everything. So like by default, what this will be is the last 24 hours of all the groups that you're in. So if I'm a member of, let's say, 10 groups, and each one of those groups has had maybe 5 posts that day, I'll be able to scroll down and see all 50 of the posts that have been posted there. There's no filtering, only sorting. So you can sort by oldest, you can sort by newest, you can sort by most comments, you can sort by the amount of reputation. So like there may be 50 comments and 1,000 upvotes versus 1,000 comments and 50 upvotes. So you'll be able to sort by either of those. But in no cases are we actually limiting what people are seeing. All we're doing is just changing the order that things are sorted in. And then the user can just keep scrolling down as long as they want until they've seen all the content that there is to see. And that's the same is true if you go into one of these individual groups. So like if I go into the natural eating group, so this is all the things that have been posted in natural eating, for the last day, they're all in there. So nothing will ever be kind of excluded from people. They'll always be able to kind of find anything they want. And if it's something that they like, they can subscribe to it, and then they'll get notifications like when new things are posted to that group and stuff like that to help drive more users to go into your group and interact with you. So the goal here is we want this to be a tool that facilitates discussion, building communities, drives traffic to the topics that you're passionate about, the information that you're passionate about, and gives you a platform that you can use to communicate those ideas in a way that's going to be safe for you, safe for your users, and you're going to be able to control that information insofar as making sure that it stays on mission, but isn't a huge amount of work, because the community and the reputation system and all that kind of stuff is going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting for you and automatically flagging things so that you don't have to do all that stuff manually. But ultimately, the goal of this is to help be a tool that would drive more traffic to your products, your services, your books, any of those things that you're monetizing, because our goal in running this platform is not to make money. Our goal is there will be some ads in it. So like this is an example of what an ad would look like, where they'll just kind of be in line. There will be a little bit of advertising there because we want to be able to cover our costs. And we may offer some premium features and things like that long term. But our goal isn't to make money off of it. Our goal is just to break even, just to cover the costs of running the servers and all that kind of stuff. The intent of it is that if Google's going to cut us off at the knees, and I don't know about you guys, but our traffic dropped 50% last year. So after 9 years as a blogger and continually growing traffic as we did things better and produced better and better content, when they changed their algorithm August 1st, it cut our traffic in half. And then Pinterest deleted our entire account. And that was like another 5 or 8% of our total site traffic that was just disappeared overnight. And not only are these companies not going to stop, not only are they all 100% against natural health, natural medicine, and consider it dangerous, but if you're paying to advertise on these platforms, if you're paying to reach your own community, you're actually paying someone whose sole goal is to destroy everything that you're trying to do. And Kate and I have just reached the point where we're not going to invest any more time. We're not going to invest any more money into trying to grow ourselves on these platforms. Now, we'll still keep all the groups that we already have, and we'll do minimal amounts of social media and things like that. We're not just going to throw away all that work, but the bulk of our effort is going to be going into this, into a place that we can control, a place that we know it has our best interests in heart, and a place where we can do what our real mission is, which is to educate people and to try to get this information out there and help change people's lives for the better. And there are increasingly less and less places where people are free to do that, because everybody is kind of bought and owned by mainstream media or pharmaceutical companies and people that are against what we're trying to do. So that's kind of really what our heart is on this whole thing. So I think that was basically kind of the bulk of what we wanted to communicate. Were there any questions about, let's see. Yes, so there will be the ability to post different types of content. And so like if this is a video that you're posting, it'll show up as a video. If it's a link, it'll show up as a link. There will be some ability to do different things like that. The analytics is a great question. So I don't think we have a page designed for that right now, but that is definitely a great idea, and I think that's something that we should definitely do. So I think the intent would be somewhere in here, we would build in an analytics page for you that would allow you to see, kind of what's going on with your content. And there will be ability to do cross-posting and things like that. So what I mean by that is, like, if I'm in here, if I'm in this I like fruit, and there's actually a group that's about fruit, for example, I can hit reply and link to that group. So there will be a direct link that'll go to another group, or a direct link that'll go to a different post in the system, or things like that. So you'll be able to kind of see like the way that Facebook or Twitter sharing works, where you can see like a retweet or see if somebody shares your content within the platform. We'll have ability to track and kind of show those cross links and stuff like that as well. So things like polls and GIFs and stuff like that, those may not be in the initial version. I mean, keep in mind that this is Kate and I and a small team trying to build a tool that Facebook spent like $5 billion building. So it's not going to do everything that Facebook does. It's not going to do everything that Instagram does. And certainly at the beginning, it's going to be only the features that we have to have in order to launch it. But our intent is, as the user base grows and as the interest in the platform grows, to keep adding more and more tools, and make it a better and better place to go. And ultimately, the goal is to allow you to drop other social media platforms if you want to, or to use them differently. Meaning, like, if you want to use Facebook for your personal interaction with your direct friends and family and not as an influencer, you can do that. Let me see. Yeah, so we're limiting the number of groups only in the sense that we don't want duplicate groups. So if they're similar topics but they're distinctly different, so like, let me give you an example, right? So you probably know that Kate and I make personal care products and things like that, and there is a very distinct difference between different types of hair. And so if you want to create 5 different groups that focus on, things for curly hair or things for straight hair, or whatever, you want to have these distinct differentiation, that's totally fine. But what we don't want is a whole bunch of groups that are basically identical to each other, because it'll just split people's attention and it'll make the community less effective than if all those people were together and all being able to talk to each other. So hopefully that makes sense. And yeah, and Jamie, so I think our goal is to allow those sort of things. I mean, I like sharing, GIFs and memes and different things like that on the social media tools that I use. So I think long term, if there's a way that we can integrate that stuff, we'd love to be able to do those sorts of things. But definitely from the get-go, text, images, and video, for sure, those three will be in there. The other ones might come later, depending on what the community is looking for. Any other final questions, comments, anything that we didn't cover that you want to ask? Kate, was there anything that you wanted to add?
I don't know if you guys can hear me or not right now. So I wanted to talk just for a minute about the Learn tab. I kind of mentioned a few things about this in the chat, but because Google's been limiting our traffic a lot, on that Learn tab, I want the influencers to help create that content and to essentially write a kind of reasonably detailed synopsis of each topic and then put links in to your blog posts and link to, not only to your own, but to other influencers' blog posts so that people can, they can read a quick article on the site, they can get a feel for kind of what it's about, and then they can click to our blogs to see like the research and the background information so they can get a full understanding of the topic if that's what they're looking for. And you will also be able to go to that Learn tab and to share those articles to your communities. So if somebody keeps asking the same question, like, how do I know if my breastfed baby has thrush? Well, there will be an article on that in the Learn tab. You go to the Learn tab and you share it to your group and say, hey, here's the information you're looking for. And that way, you're not constantly recreating content. You're not having to, figure out where it's stored or, write something for them right then and there. So that will hopefully increase all of our traffic as well as increase the, the word I'm looking for is gone from my brain, the value of our community and what we're creating here. Is there anything else that you guys would like to see here? Anything that you feel like would be more valuable to your users? Because that's what is most important to us to know. See, any screenshots of what a group would be like? We had a little bit at the beginning of the meeting that kind of explained what that would look like, but I know that it's kind of hard to tell because it's just a couple of screenshots right now. Is there a way to include a list of products or references? Yes, you can definitely include a list of products that you would recommend and links to those products in some of the content there, or we may have a way that you can create content like for your group. I'm not sure if we had a plan for that yet or not, but there will be like a group description or something, and you could list some of your top recommendations in there, especially if it's like a really narrow group that you're hosting. And we do. Ben's gonna weigh in.
Yeah. So Jamie, to answer your question, this is what a group looks like. So this is a natural eating group. Tells you a little bit about the group. One of the things that's missing from the top here is the total number of subscribers in the group will also be listed up here. And you'll be able to subscribe to it. This is how you would post to that group. And then it's showing you these are all the topics that are posted in this group. And then their sort order, there will be a little drop down here underneath a post that allows you to sort by newest, oldest, most relevant or highest reputation, etc. So you'll be able to kind of see that. But this just shows you everything that's in this one particular group. And as a group leader, you'll have the ability to pin things to the top. So if you're an influencer and you've got a private group that's primarily about, your own community, you can pin things at the top about, these are the meal planning services that I offer, and this is the consultation service that I offer, and here's my book that'll answer a lot of your general questions or whatever. You can pin some of that stuff at the top so that everybody will see it. So you'll have the ability to kind of do that kind of stuff. And then you'll also be able to do the Learn tab as well. This will be invite only. So no users will be able to post in here. This is part of the way that we're wanting to kind of control the information is accurate and stays on topic, and it's not just random things that random people are saying. And that's kind of, Tracy, the file section question, that's kind of what this is meant to be, the Learn tab. So we may over time have different filters in here to say, like, you know, I want to look at product recommendations, I want to look at books, I want to look at, you know, herbalism, or, you know, whatever, different topics, and then it would show you, like, here's the articles that have been posted in there. But it's meant to be kind of like an FAQ type thing, or like a directory where people can go, whereas the stuff in here is meant to be a lot more back and forth. So it's like, you know, you've made a comment or you've proposed some idea and other people are kind of weighing in, and it's going back and forth, that kind of thing. So hopefully that makes it a little bit more clear.
So as far as those of you who have like products that you're selling or things like that, or consultations, whatever, you will always be able to market to the people within your own communities for free. That's kind of a part of like you being a moderator and investing your time in the site, things like that. Now, because we do want to earn enough money to pay for the hosting costs and things like that, we will probably down the line have premium groups and the ability to create advertisements to people outside of your community on the app, kind of similar to the way that Facebook does it, except of course that we will carefully vet everything to make sure that it fits our mission, and that it's you know, because it's not about the money for us. It's about getting people hooked up with the services and the products and stuff that we feel would really benefit them. So that's just a little bit extra on that topic.
Yeah, so long term, there will probably be some more premium features. Like if you want to have people need to subscribe to your group and actually pay a fee or something like that to be part of that community, that you'll have some ability to do things like that. But that won't be the base version. That'll be, you know, kind of down the line. And even from the beginning, there probably will be little to no ads at all when it first goes live. Those will be things that we'll add later. But I mean, at the point that this thing is costing thousands of dollars in server costs a month, you know, Kate and I are willing to build the thing for free, but at a certain point, it has to kind of pay its own way a little bit. And so we'll personally fund it for a while as it grows. But then at a certain point, it's going to have to generate at least a little bit of money. But it'll be very much an afterthought type of thing, and not the primary goal of it is that I want to be Mark Zuckerberg and I want to make $1 billion. That is not our intent at all in terms of letting the ads drive the whole reason that the tool exists.
No, we would sooner, like, we don't want to lose money on this, but we would sooner do that than compromise our values on this and sell advertising to companies or whoever that goes against what the community stands for. A little while ago, somebody said, you know, who's going to be welcome in here? What about people that are still doing things in a not natural way, but also do things naturally? And I think that's a really important question. We've had a lot of questions surrounding, like, who's going to be part of this? And I kind of think about this like an 80-10-10 rule. I'd say 10% of the people out there are going to be like totally gung-ho, entirely natural, like this is their entire life and their lifestyle, and they wouldn't do anything else. And those are going to be primarily our community leaders, people who want to teach what they know to other people and who, you know, are totally sold by the lifestyle, involved in the lifestyle, and yeah, so those are the people that we're looking for in leadership. Then there's going to be the 80% of people who have some level of interest in natural, whether they literally just learned that, hey, you can use natural remedies to treat your baby's sniffles yesterday, and they just want to learn what there is. Or people that kind of like do maybe half natural and half not natural, or whatever you want to call it. And all of those people are welcome too, whether if they have any kind of interest in natural or believe that, like, hey, you know, natural's cool for those who want to do it, and I'm cool sticking in my breastfeeding community, but I don't really care about some of that other stuff. Those people are welcome too, and that's fine with us. Then there are the 10% of people who are like literally opposed to what we are about. They don't want to hear about natural. They think that natural remedies are woo. They think that vaccines are mandatory or should be. They think that organic food is a scam. and they're completely, literally opposed to what we do. Those people are not welcome in the community. So, if you have friends that are like, well, they're kind of learning about this natural stuff, but they're not totally into it, I don't know if they ever will be, that's fine. We want to meet them where they are. We want to teach them what we can, and that's great. Those people are fine. It's really only the people that want to troll and that want to hurt people and that want to oppose our lifestyle that will not be welcome on this app. So the only people that will be truly chased away are the people that are coming in and saying, I think you guys are stupid for doing this. If somebody is coming in and saying, I don't know about this, I'm a little bit curious, but I'm kind of overwhelmed by this, then it's our hope that the moderators will kind of reach out to them privately if they're having some concerns or they aren't so sure about how to deal with this, and that they will just talk to the person and kind of explain, like, we're not expecting perfection here. We know that this is new to you. We want you to learn. We'd encourage you to stick around and read. Just, don't get defensive if you see a lot of ideas that are kind of new or odd to you, because I think we've all seen that happen, certainly on Facebook, where somebody comes in and they're like, well, I kind of want to know this, but you guys are all jumping all over this choice that I've made, and that's hard for me to hear. And so those people, that's where we need to connect with them, and like where the moderators really need to step in, whether it's publicly or privately, depending on what's going on, and say, it's okay not to know, it's okay to be new to this, it's okay not to be ready to make changes, but just, sit back and listen and stick around and learn. And we're going to try really hard not to block or ban or move people out of the community unless they absolutely are just being belligerent and don't want to hear it and don't want to learn. And over time, we may create communities that are for people that are specifically new to it, where there's like experienced moderators, but like everyone else is kind of in the beginning stages, so that we can teach them and help them learn without them feeling like they don't fit in because they're not in that like amazing natural place or something that they think exists. And people who are into some natural topics and hostile towards others, there will be a way to block them from certain communities. So like, say somebody's super into breastfeeding and cloth diapering, but they're hostile towards vaccines, then we would block them from the vaccine communities, and they would still be able to participate in some of those other things. And of course, if they became open to something, then we could open up new communities to them. Or if they became more anti-natural and started to cause problems in the community, then we could remove them entirely. And it's really just going to be dependent on the way that they choose to participate in the community. Any other questions about this? Because I know that we're going to get a ton of concerns where people saying, do I fit in here? Is it okay for me to be here because I'm this and I'm that and I'm not the other thing? And we want to be as open as we possibly can to people. And like I said, only the people that are truly opposed to us are the ones that are not welcome.
Yeah, our goal is to be open to 99% of people. Basically, like, think of it like a library. You can go into a library, you can check out books on any topic you want, you can learn anything you want, you can avoid topics that you don't like or you don't want to learn about. But if you're coming into the library because you want to burn the library down, you're not welcome there. Those are the trolls. Those are the people that are kicked out. And everybody else, maybe you're only allowed to be in certain sections. Maybe you're only allowed to check out certain books. But everybody is welcome by default, because our goal is to increase awareness, increase education, and frankly, to get a lot of users in it, even ones that are just casually interested in this stuff, so that you as influencers have a great group of people that you're able to talk to and to communicate with and build your businesses and your influence around, and not have to go through channels like Google or Facebook, which are purposely limiting access to natural information because they're fundamentally against the things that we believe in. And their goal is to, over time, get your traffic to zero because they don't want people to find that information. If you go to Google and you search for an herb, the first thing that's going to come up is going to be like WebMD or something like that. They are not going to direct traffic to people who are herbalists and actually know what that stuff is. They're going to direct it to Western resources that are almost always wrong because those people don't actually understand what herbs are. And yes, there will be a minimum age requirement. So it'll be just like any other app. So it'll be 13, and there'll be certain limitations if you're a kid, and you'll have to accept, user acceptance terms and different things like that. And then obviously for adults, they can do whatever they want to do. Any other final questions?
Yes, you can still be moderators if you're not an expert. I mean, I don't think any of us probably count as experts, and even if you are an expert, there's still more to learn. I mean, I've been studying herbs for 10 years, but I feel like every day I learn something new. So if you're somebody who's heavily involved in something, you're passionate about something, and you're sharing your journey and kind of what you're learning along the way, then that's great. And, we're looking for people who are constantly learning, who are interested in helping others learn, who are willing to admit if, they thought something was true, but then they learned later, hey, that's not how I thought. And we'll be hopefully as moderators and admins learning from each other as well. So, I mean, yeah, you don't have to be an expert to be able to moderate a community, but we're all learning. We're all going to be learning together. Hopefully that answers your question.
All right. Well, I think I'll ask one final time if there's any last questions. So we're already a little over an hour and a half into this, so I want to be cognizant of your time. But any final question? Well, so Jamie, I'm not sure if you caught the part where I showed this is the way the unlimited threads, reply threads show up. So by default, it's only going to show like 1 or 2 or 3 maybe levels at most. And then if there are further levels down, then they'll be automatically collapsed like this. So you'll be able to click that and it'll expand it open and show you the information that's down below it. But it's not going to clog it up with like 45 levels of tiers. Nor do I think there will really be any situation where it's going to get that many. We'll probably put a hard limit on it of like 10 or something like that, because I don't think it's likely to be more than that. So seeing all the comments, so by default, they will show up as you scroll down. So like it'll load a certain number of them when you load the app, but then as you scroll down, it will keep loading more and more chunks of it. The only things that would be hidden would be the threads that are really far down, because in most of the case, those are going to be diminishing returns where it's not going to be the most helpful information if it's that many reply threads down. And so those will be kind of collapsed by default, but no, the intent is to make you click a bunch of times to see everything. All right. Well, so with that, I think we'll go ahead and end the call. We will be sending you all the link to the Facebook recording later. So if there were pieces that you wanted to kind of watch or review, or maybe you joined a little late or something like that, you're more than welcome to review that, and then you can send Kate or I a message and let us know any additional questions or feedback or things like that. I mean, I want to be really clear that we're not trying to build something as a gatekeeping process. We're trying to collaborate with other influencers who want to help build this community. And so we want to make sure that the tool reflects the things that you want to do with it, and it looks the way you want, and it incentivizes the right behavior and punishes the wrong behavior that we're collectively as a community trying to do. And so if there are other things that you feel like we're missing or other feedback that you have, we'd love to hear it. The sooner we get that feedback in this process, the more effective we can be about using our limited resources to build it. At this point, We expect probably somewhere in February or early March, we will have a functional prototype that may have some bugs. It may crash sometimes, but it'll hopefully mostly work. And then March, at the point that it launches, at least the first month, we will be significantly limiting the users and making sure that we're kind of working out all the kinks and building it the right way. And then once we kind of all agree that things are in good shape, then we'll open it up for general registration. And so there will be more calls like this over the next couple of months that as we get some things working and built, we'll ask for your feedback and let you actually install some things on your devices or use them, from your desktop computer. So you'll be able to actually kind of play around with it. As we know that some things you're not going to think of until you actually start to use it, and then you're like, well, how do I do X, right? But the sooner you can give us feedback, the better, and we can hopefully get everything integrated. So Jamie, it's by default going to be a mobile app. So there will be a desktop version, but the whole thing that I've been showing you here is a native mobile app that will have push notifications, so you'll be able to get notifications on it just like you would with the Facebook app or any other app that you've installed on your phone. And then you can also use it from like a desktop or tablet or things like that, and the screen will be bigger, obviously, and show you kind of more content if you do that. So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for your time, and have a great day.